तव कथामृतम् तप्तजीवनम् कविभिरीडितम् कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदाततम् भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः।
ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः. We are meeting after a long time, in fact a gap of 11 days. And on that day we started reading a little from the fourth meeting of Master Macha with Sri Ramakrishna. And we remember that he was staying in his sister's house, and so he did not have his diary, and so dates are not clearly mentioned on these 4 days. Afterwards, meticulously we will find the dates are there. Now, in the what we have learned, first day was out of depression tremendous, leading to the thought of suicide, which was checked by other reasons. He had come to Sri Ramakrishna. He had no foreknowledge of what will happen. Only that his depression will subside a little by visiting gardens. But he came straight to Sri Ramakrishna's room, and seeing and listening to what is happening there, he felt that it was all like nectar. And nectar, not some drink. It is something which raises the mind of anyone and will ultimately end in making him reach immortality, opposite to suicide, and a permanent joy. So he felt attracted, and Sri Ramakrishna also asked him, come again. So within 2 days, he made the second visit in the morning, and that visit was tremendously affecting the master's whole thought world. And he understood. First, lot of discussion. The very first thing is Sri Ramakrishna told him about some Pratap's brother, by which he mentioned that if you are a married person having children, you cannot run away from them. And discussion about God. First, how is your wife? Whether she is a power for God consciousness or power for opposite of God consciousness. He could not understand the words, and he said, she is good but ignorant. And Sri Ramakrishna rebuked him simply by uttering, and you have knowledge. So he later on understood that knowing God is knowledge, everything else is ignorance. And then Sakar, Nirakar, by which he understood that God exists in both forms. And anyone, if one has faith in any one of these types, he can go to God. But to say that the other type is wrong is mistake. And then Master comments, Master Masha, that why should we worship the clay image? To which Sri Ramakrishna replied, why clay? It is the image of consciousness. This master never understood. But we are fortunate that the Master Masha's memory was phenomenal and recording is fully objective. Otherwise, what we like that we retain ordinarily, or what we like that we record. But we do see in Master Masha an opposite thing. And then Master Masha became very humble and asked Sri Ramakrishna how to keep the mind in God. And we understood by this 2-3 things. That unless one keeps the mind in God, no problem or depression can be solved. That is the only way of removing depression. Secondly, that I know nothing of this. Thirdly, that Sri Ramakrishna appears to know everything about it, and I should learn from him. So that is humbly asked, how to keep the mind in God. And how means what I should do. So Thakur told him 6 things to do. And then Master Masha introspectively saw that the present way of living life, these things will not be possible. We'll have to change this mental attitude for living in the house. And when he asked that question, how to live in the house, Thakur told him that as a maid servant lives in the house of a rich man. And several instructions he gave, repeating some of those which he had told about how to fix the mind in God. And then a possibility arose in Master's mind, seeing Sri Ramakrishna and hearing his talk, that God can be realized also. So he asked as a doubt, can God be realized? And Sri Ramakrishna emphatically said yes. But it is not a question of ticking yes or no. So he told him, if one does like that, then one can realize God. One can surely realize God if one can do that. Then came the profound question, what should be the condition of the mind in which God is realized? So God realization does not depend upon how much sadhana we are doing, but on changing the condition of the mind. And there Thakur said, if first he told yearning. Yearning is the condition. And yearning is like dawn. Sun will arise definitely now. And then he said, 3 attractions, 3 pulls. If they are directed to God, then one can realize God. The pull of a worldly man for his worldly possessions, meaning the distracted mind should focus into one. The attraction or the pull which a mother feels for the child, which means, what can I do for him? Forgetting oneself, she wants to do everything for the child. And third, like a pure wife towards the husband, not husband towards the wife. And in this we saw that all the other attractions are included. But he has mentioned the other two also. And here the main thing which we thought of is that how can I become one with him, losing my separate existence. And then Thakur said, the main point is love for God. And then he talked of surrender through the illustration of a kitten. That the kitten is satisfied wherever the mother keeps it. If it feels trouble, he just mews. And wherever mother is, she comes and keeps him on other place. So he ended by telling this type of surrender is necessary. That was the end of the second visit. Third visit came after 4 or 5 days on the next Sunday. And that we studied in detail 2-3 points. One is, one must realize that God is in everything. One should not be affected by what the non-believers talk of. But one should not condemn them because God lives in them. Then how many types of people are in the world, though God is in everybody? And then this we learn through the example of water and a terrible example of a tiger. And then the people in the world were categorized from spiritual point of view. Bound people wanting to get released people, those who are released, and those who are never caught. And this he described through the fisherman's net, how some are never caught, some struggle out of which some come away, and some are not able to come away, but the majority catching the net and putting their face in the mud, think we are safe. And then they are pulled out. And then he talked in length about the bound people like this, that they do some nonsensical activity, and if they cannot pass time, they play cards. The listeners became grave, and somebody asked, is there no way out for them? Thakur said, faith. And then he told stories about how faith can serve, get man emancipation. And then this gets connected in the second day's talk, that you may have faith in any one type of God's form, but you should have faith. And this faith will save you. And then we saw another thing. And Thakur told there that if evil people came to injure you, you should not injure them, but you should show signs of anger so that they will keep away. This is again illustrated through story. And then we saw Thakur in Samadhi. Narendra singing, Thakur in Samadhi. Master Masha was spellbound by both the song and the Samadhi. And when he went back to his house, that song was haunting his mind. And he was remembering Thakur's behavior, Samadhi, constantly. This ended the third visit. Now he is telling here that the next day too was a holiday for M. He arrived at Dakshineshwar at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Now here I will have to tell you a lot of things. I told you on the first day, in relation to some other translation, that Nichiranji's translation is adhering to the spirit of the text. But there are some grave omissions. And the grave omissions are stylistic. In the original Bengali, for each visit, one shloka is given. And the full scene is described in a dramatic fashion. And that is missing in English translation. And so I promise that I shall be telling about it through the Bengali book time and again. Now the theme here, by the shloka given, I am not going to explain the whole shloka. Let me read it. Yam labdva chaparam labham manyante nadikam tata manyate nadikam tata yasmin sito na dukkhe na gurunapi vichalyate. Gita 6 chapter 22 shloka, meaning that the bliss which one gets one never after that imagines that there can be a greater gain. And staying in that bliss, one will not get affected even by dire miseries. So miseries may come, but they will not disturb a man's inner bliss. So you understand by this that the whole talk is going to be about bliss. And here I describe the heading, next heading in Bengali is Narendra Bhavanath Pravrutir Sange Ananda. Joy with Narendra Bhavanath and others. Narendra has already been introduced. Bhavanath is Narendra's friend. We'll see later on that some others also will present. But the topic is bliss. And now we read in English. The next day too was a holiday for him. He arrived at Dakshineshwar at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Sri Ramakrishna was in his room. Narendra Bhavanath and a few other devotees were sitting on a mat spread on the floor. They were all young men of 19 or 20. 19 or 20 young men. Seated on this small coach, Sri Ramakrishna, I will rearrange this sentence. Sri Ramakrishna was talking with them and smiling, is the present translation. Sri Ramakrishna was smiling and talking with them joyfully. So smiling we have seen on the first day. So Sri Ramakrishna is always smiling. While talking also he was smiling, but talking joyfully. So you can count, if you like, how many expressions of joy and bliss are coming in the whole chapter. So talking joyfully, first point. No sooner had M entered the room than the master laughed aloud. So he was talking joyfully. Now he laughed aloud and said to the boys, now he has described them as young men. Now he tells them are boys. Anyway, there he has come again. They all joined in the laughter. Because master laughed. They all joined in the laughter. So this bliss is radiating also. M bowed low before him and took a seat. Bowing low, I would translate it as M prostrated before him and took a seat. Because he mentions this in the next sentence. Before this, he had saluted the master with folded hands like one with an English education. But that day he learned to fall down at his feet in orthodox Hindu fashion. So fall down means prostrate. Presently the master explained the cause of his laughter to the devotees. He said, a man once fed a peacock with a pill of opium at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The next day, exactly at that time, the peacock came back. It had felt the intoxication of the drug and returned just in time to have another dose. Allah. Now here master reflects and says that something like that is happening. But we must discuss this point critically. Because most of the Western educated people criticize religious people by telling that you are taking opium. And Thakur has mentioned opium. So you have to critically analyze. Is religion an opium which makes you forget your troubles for the moment? Not at all. But opium has the property of pulling you again and again. So that is there. What is there is opium's power of pulling you again and again, not making a habit, trying to forget world for that moment, and it rebounds on you with double force. So critically one should understand it is like opium but not like opium. It is not a habit forming drug, not making you forget your troubles for the moment in which they come back again. This will make you realize God, where your troubles of the world will vanish totally. M thought this a very apt illustration. Even at home, he had been unable to banish the thought of Sri Ramakrishna for a moment. So this is the result of 3 visits. First visit pulled him, second visit again pulled him, and third visit next day he came because it was available. Then, unable to banish the thought of Sri Ramakrishna for a moment. So many people ask, how one can remember God always? And this Master Mahashaya, it speaks of two things. The religious sanskaras in the depth of Master Mahashaya's heart, one thing. And secondly, the language. He is not trying to remember. You may say he may try to forget, but he cannot. That is the language. Cannot banish the thought. So that thought has entered into his depth of the heart. One cannot banish. His mind was constantly at the Kshineshwar, straight away. And he had counted the minutes until he should go again. So the effect is that counted the minutes. He will not be able to go there in the night, but he is counting the minute. As soon as I am able to go, I will go. And that came in 3 in the afternoon. Shall I tell a story here? One sadhak went to an ashrama, and without any plan, but he joined that day. It was absolutely essential for him to go to his house for some work. And his teacher told him, no worry, you can go. And on the day of departure, the teacher said, I shall be counting days when you come back. And the sadhak told him, I shall be counting hours and minutes. That I remember here. As a result, after 7 days he came. He had fixed a train, and it was seen that there is a better train, maybe half an hour after all that. But he stuck to that train and came at that hour. Anyway, so understand, the inner pull is so strong. Some of the listeners here are counting days for the class to resume. I don't want to talk further. In the meantime, Master was having great fun with the boys. So, joy again. And here we find one thing, that in several places, this description is there, Thakur having fun with the boys. And nowhere, as Master Mahashaya mentioned, what fun. Nowhere. Nowhere. But only that fun he has mentioned. And you will find an explanation also for that. Treating them as if they were his most intimate friends. That is all right. But Bengali literally will tell us as if they were of the same age. So forgetting the difference in age, that is the main thing. Thakur is an older person, but he is mixing with them, making fun as friends, so of the same age. Peals of side-splitting laughter filled the room. So how much joy is being expressed in this 4th meeting. As if it were a mark of joy. As if, because in mart, you'll have to pay something. Here, it is a free mart. You are getting joy without any payment. The whole thing was a revelation to M. revelation. Revelation means he has experienced something which he had never expected. And he's commenting on that now. Now let me comment at that point. I think I told on that previous occasion. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, our experience during progress of spiritual life is mentioned in a particular way. That when the mind is gross, we think of our real nature. And we think body is our soul. Body is our reality. Then when a little spiritual experience grows, we understand, no, it is not so. There is a soul living inside the body. At this point, the commentators will tell us, so what is the body? It is like a sheath in which the sword is kept. Now, this is referring to the functional indriyas, that I am that. Living in the body, I am doing this. Then with a little more progress spiritual, he understands, no. Because they are going on changing, body is changing, indriyas are changing. So my real nature is, there is another soul in this that fills up this. So it is the mind which a person feels is his soul. And so this becomes a sheath. And then, after a lot of spiritual development, he understands that no, mind is waxing and waning, it cannot be the real. And then he finds that there is an I consciousness functioning, because of which the mind appears to have consciousness. Indriyas and body appear to have consciousness. But there is an I consciousness, which is my real nature. And here the world dies. But real spirituality begins from this. And this I consciousness wants to find out its source. It finds out in spiritual evolution that I am a reflection. I am not, this I consciousness is not my real nature. So it tries to look within. Mind, organs, body, take him outside. But he wants to find out his source, so he turns inside. This inside is his heart. And what he finds there? God. Now immediately he will not realize God's nature in full. But one thing has happened. He has found God. Some sort of relation with God has developed. And that leads him to joy. And now he does not have to think of within the joy what is there. The joy will grow as he goes nearer and nearer God or his real nature. And so God has been described as the bedrock of this joy. So, at the end of the journey, you will realize God in full. So, this is also a sheath, but the nearest to God. Actually, when you have started realizing God, then this came. So it is nearest to God experience, even compared to I consciousness. Now, look at the other side. Suppose a man has realized God and he is still living. So the nearest expression also is the bliss. This bliss, this called bliss sheath, is nearest to God, whether before realizing or after realizing. It is the nearest to God. And that is described in the Taittiriya Upanishad as Anyo Antar Atma Anandamayaha Tenaisha Purnaha Moda Dakshina Uttar Dakshina Paksha Pramoda Uttara Paksha Ananda Atma Brahma Pucham Pratishtha.
Anyantara Atma. Anyantara Atma.
Anandamaya.
Ananda.
That inside that I consciousness. Anyo Antara Atma. Anandamaya. And this Anandamaya Atma is described as Moda Uttara Moda Dakshina Paksha.
Modu Uttara Paksha, Pramodu Dakshina.
First is Dakshina in always, na? In Indian counting, first is Dakshina always. Or it may be like that. Pramoda Uttara Paksha. Now more than Pramod means joy and more joy. Expression. And Ananda Atma. Here Atma means the main part of the body, the trunk. Atma, Ananda means joy in general. Is his main part. And Brahma is the Pratishtha on which all this stands. This is the description. And that is what we are finding here. Laughter, joy, more joy, people laughing, Thakur making fun, and more laughter, loud laughter. It is telling exactly with the description of Anandamaya Kosha. And in that, I may tell a story about Swami Vivekananda. When he was in England, the Christian fathers were telling him, you are a religious teacher. You should always have a grave face. Swami Vivekananda said, I have a grave face only when their digestive problems are there in my stomach. Otherwise, we are the children of immortal bliss. So you'll always have joy. So this is, in the fourth meeting, main thing is this. And this is similar to, exactly opposite of what? People in the world, they joke and feel joy for the moment and depression the next moment. This is not that. The joy is nearest expression of God, and this will carry all of them to God. So that is the main point here. And that is why that peacock and all that came. Now let us see Master Mahashay's reflections on this point. The whole thing was a revelation to him. He thought, didn't I see him only yesterday, intoxicated with God, Samadhi? Wasn't he swimming then in the ocean of divine love? A sight I had never seen before. And today, the same person is behaving like an ordinary man. We will find that he is not like an ordinary man, God intoxicated man, or God himself. Wasn't it he who scolded me on the first day of my coming here? That was on the second day, huh? Didn't he admonish me, saying, and you are a man of knowledge? Wasn't it he who said to me that God with form is as true as God without form? So profound knowledge is being shown here. Didn't he tell me that God alone is real and all else illusory? So that I remembered, Master. Huh? Wasn't it he who advised me to live in the world unattached like a maid servant in a rich man's house? So all this he remembers, and this man behaving like an ordinary man. So he has yet to understand one thing, revelation, that such people are always filled with bliss. Sri Ramakrishna was having great fun with the young devotees. Now and then he glanced at M. He noticed that M sat in silence. The master said to Ramlal, who had come across Ramlal. Ramlal is Thakur's nephew serving in the temple. You see, he is a little advanced in years and therefore somewhat serious. He sits quiet while the youngsters are making merry. M was then about 28 years old. They were 1920, he was 28. So Thakur said somewhat advanced in age. The conversation drifted to Hanuman, whose picture hung on the wall in the master's room. Conversation, joy, laughter drifted to Hanuman. How it will drift? Thakur has deliberately brought that topic. So laughter is not like ordinary people. You understand this point? Just imagine Hanuman's state of mind. He didn't care for money, honor, creature comforts, or anything else. So whereas all that laughter vanished. So this laughter came from a profound depth and is taking now the boys to that profound depth. He did not care for money, honor, creature comforts, or anything else. He longed only for God. When he was running away, here one Bengali expression I know, so I am searching. কিন্তু হনুমান ভুলবার ছেলে নয়। You understand? They are all young boys. So Thakur is telling Hanuman, is not a person. Hanuman is not a boy who will forget. So, this makes the thing nearer to the voice to appreciate. By calling Hanuman a boy. He longed only for God. Now a story comes. A song comes depending upon a story. And the story has been explained in the footnote. But I'll tell you. The story referred to here is told in the Ramayana. People will try to search in Valmiki Ramayana. You will not find this story. If you go to Tulsidas, you will not find this story. If you go to the famous Kamba Ramayana of South India, you will not find this story. It is in Krityavasi Ramayana. So, it is in the Bengali version of the Ramayana, this story is there. So, please do not try to search elsewhere. Now, the story, Ravana had received a boon as a result of which he could be killed only by particular celestial weapon. This is not the story elsewhere. Celestial weapon possessed by Rama. That is a story in other places. But here, this weapon was concealed in a crystal pillar in his palace. In his palace, in his inner palace. That means in his queen's palace. One day Hanuman, in the guise of an ordinary monkey, came to the palace and broke the pillar. Here there is a little variation. He appeared as a dwarf astrologer, man, not monkey. And you see the story, I will tell in full now. That Rama was shooting, the Bengali version. Rama was shooting arrow after arrow. Ravana's heads were falling, but again growing. So Vibhishan told him, Ravana's brother, that when we were doing tapasya, Brahma became pleased and asked boons. So Ravana asked, give me immortality. Brahma said, such boon is not available. But I will give you something, and by using tricks, you can become immortal. I made a special weapon, and you can be killed only by that weapon. And I give that to you. So if you keep in some concealed place, then nobody will know that. Then you will not be killed. So I cannot say you will not die. But I will make something by which you will not die. You can be killed only by this weapon. And this weapon you take and you conceal it. Now Ravana gave it to his dearest wife Mandodari. You keep it safe. And Mandodari kept it in a pillar in her palace. Vibhishan did not know where Mandodari has kept it. But Vibhishan knew up to this point that Ravana handed over to Mandodari and she has kept it. So when Vibhishan told this story, all became morose. Then no, why? Vibhishan, as a minister or brother, had his spy network. And so he knows up to this point. If that weapon is not found, then how will he? At that point, Hanuman said, I will bring it. If we know that it is with Mandodari, I will bring it. And he could take forms at will. So he takes the form of an astrologer, short-heighted astrologer. And going near, passing, people seeing that he is an astrologer, they did not object him going to Mandodari. And he is telling that long live Ravana, so that endeared him to the Ravana's people. And he is telling Mandodari, I know by my astrology that the weapon is with you. But you should beware that Vibhishana's spies are everywhere. So you should keep in such a place that those people will not know. Now Mandodari got carried away by his all talk, that he is Ravana's well-wisher. So she said, how will Vibhishana's people know? I have kept it in this pillar. Then Hanuman revealed his own form, kicked the pillar, took out the weapon and brought it to Ramchandra. This is the story. Now at this point, we resume the narration. So this is the story in the Kirtiyasi Ramayana. In other places, Ravana, variations are there everywhere. That there was nectar in Ravana's navel. And this is the most commonly told story. So in the TV serial, Vibhishana is telling Rama, you hit 21 arrows at a point. So 10 heads, 31 arrows, 31. By 10 arrows, 10 heads should go. By 20 arrows, the 20 arms should go. And one should hit the navel. And when Rama does this, Ravana is killed. But Valmiki Ramayana does not mention any of this. Valmiki Ramayana says there was a sage Agasti. And Agasti had taught, when Rama was about to go to war with Ravana, Agasti had given him the knowledge of that celestial weapon, Brahmastra. And Agasti comes and tells Rama, this is the occasion now, you must hit that Brahmastra.
In the navel or
Anywhere. Brahmastra will kill Ravana. And Brahmastra is such a thing, it should not be used unless all other weapons fail. Because it is a terrible weapon. So Ram was not using that. And when nothing else was working, Agasti came and said, now is the time to use it. And Rama used it and Ravana was killed. That is the Valmiki Ramayana story. Anyway, now we follow Krityavasi. Just imagine Hanuman's state of mind. He didn't care for money, honor, creature, comforts or anything else. He longed only for God. When he was running away with the heavenly weapons I have described up to this point, that had been secreted in the crystal pillar. Mandodari is Ravana's dearest wife. Mandodari began to tempt him with various fruits because he was taking the form of a monkey, so that he might come down and drop the weapon. But he couldn't be tricked as easily. Here that boy is mentioned. He was not a boy to be tricked easily. In reply to her persuasions, he sang this song. Now in this lot of Rupak is there, figurative. She is tempting with fruit. Huh? Am I in need of fruit? I have the fruit that makes this life fruitful indeed. Within my heart, the tree of Rama's grows. Within my heart, the tree of Rama grows, bearing salvation for its fruit. Let me read the Bengali song. আমার কি ফলের অভাব পেয়েছি যে ফল জনম সফল মোক্ষ ফলের বৃক্ষ রাম হৃদয়ে. This is all right, huh? Sri Ramakalpadrumat mule বসে রই যখন যে ফল বাঞ্ছা সেই ফল প্রাপ্ত হই. Little very shifting, that moksha is the fall of knowledge. The result of knowledge is called as fall, not fruit. And that is Rama, and that is in my heart. Then he says that I am sitting under the wish-fulfilling tree at the feet of Rama. And that wish-fulfilling tree will give you any fruit you want, anything you want in life. Then, ফলের কথা কই ধনী গো ও ফল গ্রাহক নাই যাব তোদের প্রতিফল যে দিয়ে. So I am not carried away by your fruits offering. But if you speak of fruit, no beggar I for common fruit. Behold, I go, leaving a bitter fruit for you. Pratifal is revenge. So you are tempting me with fruit. I will have a revenge on you. Anyway. Under the wish-fulfilling tree of Rama do I sit at ease, plucking whatever fruit I will. But if you speak of fruit, no beggar I for common fruit. Behold, I go, leaving a bitter fruit for you. Now, what has happened? It slowly drifted towards Hanuman. As Sri Ramakrishna was singing this song, he went into Samadhi. So this joy and all that, and story of Hanuman. So Thakur's natural course is to go into Samadhi. Again, the half-closed eyes and motionless body that one sees in the photograph as motionless. Just a minute before, the devotees had been making merry in his company. Now all eyes were riveted on him. Thus, for the second time, M saw the master in Samadhi. Om Tava Kathāmritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibiriritam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadaatatam Bhuigrananti ye Bhurida Jana. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.